Raise your hand if you like tests. None of us do. For a long time, headlines about how well American kids perform on tests have made for unpleasant reading over the breakfast table. But now, a study from the National Superintendents Roundtable and the Horace Mann League concludes that the benchmarks used by the Department of Education are neither useful nor credible. The study, How High the Bar, reports that students in other nations rarely do better than American students on the National Assessment of Education Progress. This test, also known as NAEP, is often called the nation's report card. Why is that important? Because NAEP's proficiency benchmark has been used as the foundation for the Common Core assessments now being implemented in 43 states for accountability purposes. How High the Bar examined how students in other nations would perform if held to NAEP's proficiency benchmark. Here's what the researchers found. In no country do most students meet the proficient benchmark for grade 4 reading. Just 3 nations have a majority of their students meeting the benchmark in 8th grade math: Singapore, South Korea, and Japan. And only 1 nation has over half of its students meeting the benchmark in 8th grade science: Singapore. Proficient doesn't measure grade level performance. According to federal officials, it doesn't even mean proficient as most people understand the word. The term is misleading. Internationally, not a single nation can demonstrate that most of its students meet NAEP's grade 4 reading proficiency benchmark. Even in Singapore, which always does well on international tests, just 39% of 4th graders clear the proficiency bar. So what does this mean?
Kind of takes a little bit of the air out of the bubble to consider that nobody is at that proficiency level in 4th grade, and only a few in 8th grade for math.
There's one part of the summary that I thought was the most important statement, and that is that the fault lies not with the students, and it's not in the schools, and it's not in the Common Core, not even in the assessments themselves. It's the flawed benchmarks.
I think we need to redefine the terminology that's used in NAEP. So what is proficient? What does that mean? How is that being interpreted? And then how we're using those benchmarks to compare them as a metrics for Common Core assessments.
The NAEP proficiency benchmark, in isolation, has misled Americans about student performance. After all, by that measure, U.S. performance ranks 5th out of 40 nations, according to the report. That news should make for better reading at the American breakfast table.